Hey guys, welcome back. We're here for the next installment of mini bookshelf tours. I won't waste your time with a long introduction. This is the 10th installment, as you can probably tell from the title. So if you're interested in that, you can check out some of the first videos in this segment. In this episode, we're going to go over this bookshelf here right behind me. In the previous episodes, we have done the fantasy shelves, short story collections. In the last episode, we did this section, and these two bookshelves are kind of like general fiction. So last episode, we did this 3-shelf segment, and then in this episode, we're going to do all 3 of these shelves. So let's just go ahead and get into it. We're going to start on the bottom shelf and work our way up. That is the hardest one for me because I have to sit on the floor, which is always strenuous on my back. So, it's actually really warm today. I don't know what the heck is going on. All right, we're going to start at the far end, The Legal Limit by Martin Clark. That is one of those books that I probably need to either read it or get rid of it because I've just had it for so long. This next one is kind of the same. It is The Story of My Assassins. Yeah, I just don't know if I'm vibing with this very much anymore. I'm going to have to consider whether or not I should keep it. The Signature of All Things by Elizabeth Gilbert. She wrote Eat, Pray, Love. This really intrigued me because it's all about like nature and everything, but it is massively huge. And Eat, Pray, Love is not really... I watched the movie, but I definitely would not probably read the book. But I don't think this is kind of the same vibes. I think this is like going to be supposedly something completely different. See You at the Piazza by Frances Mays. This was intriguing because it takes place, it's like a vacation in Italy, and it just seemed like what a perfect summer book. And when we get back from Spain, I might have to read that while sitting by the pool. Small Angels. I think this is supposed to be, The Woods Are Stirring Again. This has been eaten by mice. Do you see that? I don't know if you can see that. It's got little nibblies. This book definitely came like that. Anyways, okay, we have Small Angels by Lauren Owen. I think this is like a gothic book. Takes place in woods. Yeah, it kind of seems like a spooky... The Girl in the Road by Monica Byrne. Other Birds by Sarah Addison Allen. I haven't read this book yet, but I'm pretty sure I'm going to love it as much as I love any of her other books. Atonement by Ian McEwan. This was such a good movie. I've watched the movie twice. I've been keeping this book around. Like, I've had this book for so long. I haven't actually read the book because part of me in the back of my mind is like, well, did already see the movie. I have been keeping this around because it is on the Rory Gilmore's reading list, which I know is kind of silly and nerdy, but that's why it's literally been sitting around on my shelf. The Doll Factory. This book was so good. The Dutch House by Anne Patchett. I read this a long time ago. I loved it so much that I had to get the physical copy. This was a favorite book of the year. And it's so weird because this is definitely like a literary fiction kind of book and not usually something I gravitate towards. And I was shook how much I love this book. The Caliphs of Baghdad, Georgia. I completely forgot what this one is about. I do think it's supposed to be gothic. Actually sounds kind of interesting, but I think I'm going to have to add that one to the read it or haul it. The Mermaid and Mrs. Hancock. I'm not even gonna lie, this is definitely like a cover buy. Also, it is not about mermaids at all. I think it's just like a drama. A compulsively readable, mesmerizing debut in which a prosperous elderly merchant receives a most unusual creature. And meets a most extraordinary gifted woman in a wholly original tale of myth and marvel, magnetism and literary magic. 1785. Also, the author's name is Imogen, and I'm just saying that is one of the most beautiful names. Lincoln and the Bardo by George Saunders. My Dark Vanessa. 7 or 8 Deaths of Stella Fortuna. I think this takes place in Italy, I want to say. In a rugged Italian village, Stella is considered an oddity, beautiful and smart, insolent and cold. The Miniaturists by Jessie Burton. Then we have A Well-Behaved Woman, a novel of the Vanderbilts by Therese Ann Fowler, and this author also wrote another one, Z, about Zelda Fitzgerald. The Fountains of Silence by Ruta Sepetys. Spain, that's right, this takes place in Spain. Isabel Allende, A Long Petal of the Sea. 1930s Civil War grips Spain, that's right. Death in the Air, true story of a serial killer. Great London smog and this strangling of a city. World War II, another disaster hit. For 5 long days in December 1952, a killer smog held the city firmly in its grip and refused to let go. Day became night, mass transit ground to a halt. Criminals roamed the streets, and some 12,000 people died from the poisonous air. But in the chaotic aftermath, another killer was stalking the streets, using the fog as a cloak for his crimes. Adultery by Paulo Coelho explores the question of what it really means to live fully and happily. How do we balance life's routine with the desire for something new? And then the last one on that shelf is The Recent East by Thomas. Oh, after the fall of Berlin Wall, this girl realizes that her parents' abandoned mansion is available for her to claim. Newly divorced and eager to escape her bleak life in upstate New York, where she has lived as an adult, she arrives with her 2 teenagers to discover a city that has become an unrecognizable ghost town. That shelf is going to need some work. All right, we're going to go ahead and move up to the next shelf. This shelf has a lot going on, a lot more paperbacks. And again, we'll start at the far end and move our way this way. We have another book by Anne Patchett, The Story of a Happy Marriage. I want to say this is more of a nonfiction. I'm not sure. Okay. Then we have this absolutely massive book, The Song of the Jade Lily. Weaves together little-known threads of World War II history, family secrets, and the past and present into a page-turning, beautiful novel. Oh, it takes place in 2 different timelines, 1939 and 2016. All right, then we have this one, Burnt Sugar by Avni Doshi. And I've actually tried reading this book, but I felt like I couldn't connect to it at the time. So it was actually Jack in the Books who convinced me that I should give this book one more time because he really enjoyed this one. And I know we have very different tastes in books. Like, I don't think he reads a whole lot of fantasy, but that's okay. Then we have Cloud Atlas by David Mitchell, and I tried with this book so hard. I have now watched the movie twice and considered coming back to this book, and I'm like afraid of it. I don't know why. And the beginning of this book has some of the most beautiful. I'm trying to decide whether or not I should keep it on my shelves or not. I was hoping that watching the movie would help me understand the structure a bit more, and then I can give this book another shot. Then the other side of me is like, well, maybe it's just overhyped and it's just not the book for me. So I have some other David Mitchell books. Black Swan Green. I'm not really sure what that one's about. I'm not going to try to remind myself. Then we have The Bone Clocks. And I think that this will probably end up being my next David Mitchell to give a shot to. This one sounds really good. The Thousand Autumns of Jacob de Zoet. Laying here in the front because I ran out of space is a romance. The Shoddy Setup. Second Chance at First Love. High School Sweethearts. Were the golden couple until the day he broke her heart. Now 6 years later, Rita has turned her passion for furniture restoration into a career and has an almost perfect boyfriend, Neil. The last thing she needs is for Milan to waltz back into her life. So it's one of those romance books that I decided to give a chance to because it does seem like she has a really interesting career with furniture restoration. And actually, I didn't completely run out of space. Okay, then we have Sleeping Woman, 24 Stories by Haruki Murakami. Underground by Haruki Murakami. The Bluest Eye by Toni Morrison. My Year of Rest and Relaxation. Now, I actually read this already. It wasn't even a favorite book, but I happened upon this book. I think I found it in like a little free library or something like that. So I ended up adding it to my collection, but I don't honestly know why, because I don't think that I would probably read this book again. Yeah, I don't know. Might have to reconsider this book. All right. Notes from My Captivity. Aspiring journalist offered a chance to write an article on legendary family of hermits. Oh yeah, that sounded interesting. The Alaskan Laundry. And I ended up getting this when my husband was actually working in Alaska. So when I saw it, I was like, ooh, interesting. Yeah, I think this is like a story about a girl who's like trying to find herself. Okay. Bring Up the Bodies by Hilary Mantel. And winner of the Man Booker Prize. Oh, this is a story of Henry and Anne Boleyn. A Tin Band by Sarah Winman. And this book I have attempted a couple of times, but I just think that I keep picking it up when I'm just not in the right space. But it's a queer love story. The Remains of the Day by Kazuo Ishiguro. This is a really beat up, stained copy, and I did actually watch the movie. I don't know if I would actually return to that book. Pale View of the Hills by Kazuo Ishiguro. The Wind-Up Bird Chronicles by Haruki Murakami. Hard-Boiled Wonderland and the End of the World by Haruki Murakami. Norwegian Wood by Haruki Murakami. This book is so good. I absolutely love this one. And I think it's interesting because so many people that I see on YouTube don't seem to like it very much. You know what? While I'm here, I'm going to go ahead and pluck some of these off of the shelf that I think I'm going to be getting rid of. Okay, so Freedom, and then we have Corrections by Jonathan Franzen. This one sounds really good. It's a little thick, so it seems intimidating because, it's a little bit out of my comfort zone, but it sounds absolutely hilarious. My Grandmother Asked Me to Tell You She's Sorry by Frederick Bachman. A Man Called Ove is one of my favorite books. It's so good. But then I've also tried another Frederick Bachman book that I wasn't a big fan of. And I would actually be interested in reading Beartown as well. My Name is Lucy Barton by Elizabeth Strout. Devil's Highway, A True Story by Luis Alberto Urrea. And I think, Pulitzer Prize finalist. Alright, and this is about Mexican border crossing. Okay, Garden Spells by Sarah Addison Allen. I love this book. I actually had read it in a mass market paperback edition, but then when I found the trade paperback edition, I just kind of traded up. Burn Our Bodies Down. This is a young adult, I think a young adult thriller. Oh, this author wrote Wilder Girls? Huh, okay. So it's just about Margot and her mom not having a history, no relatives to speak of, just the two of them stuck in their rundown apartment. That's not enough for Margot. She wants family and she wants a past. And she just found the key that she needs to get it. A photograph pointing her to a town called Feline, pointing her home. Only when she gets there, it's not what she bargained for. When Dimple Met Rishi, this was so incredibly popular when it came out. And I guess this is a romance. Don't Make Me Pull Over. Informal history of a family road trip. So this was really intriguing to me because I grew up going on road trips, long road trips, through many streets with my mom. The birth of America's first interstate highways in the 1950s hit the gas pedal to the road trip phenomenon. The Girl He Used to Know by Tracy Garvis Graves. This was so good. I really enjoyed this one. This is about a girl who I think has autism in a romance, and then the end is just so devastating. And I actually had reached out to the author with a question because it had just taken me by such shocking surprise. Yeah, this is an art copy that I had received. I have a couple of these that I'm not sure would actually read again, but I can't really get rid of them because they're art copies. But this next one, I don't really know. This is The Winters by Lisa Gabriel. And I actually really love this book. It is a retelling of Rebecca, which I love Rebecca. But I've been kind of on and off thinking, do I need to keep this book though? Because I wouldn't reread it. But I think I've just been kind of holding on to it because it was sent to me by the publishers. Boomeritis, a novel that will set you free. And this is kind of funny. I feel like I was born right on the cusp of being a millennial. I'm technically a millennial. Daring departure from his previous writings, a highly original work of fiction that combines brilliant scholarship with tongue-in-cheek storytelling. The story of a native young grad student in computer science and his quest for meaning in the fragmented world provides a setting in which Wilbur contrasts alienated flatland or scientific materialism. Here's the chapters. The chapters are .coms, which I think is kind of interesting. So, okay. And the last one on this shelf is Where the Crawdads Sing by Delia Owens. I watched this movie and I was so taken by it. I loved it so much that I wanted a physical copy of the book. I haven't actually quite read the book yet. And now we're on to the top shelf. I'm going to start from the far end and work my way this way. First, we have Greenwich Park by Catherine Faulkner. And look at this cover, like it looks so cool. Twisty whip smart debut thriller, electrifying as Girl on the Train, which to be fair, I didn't really like that one. About impending motherhood, unreliable friendships, and a high price of keeping secrets. A tangled game of cat and mouse. Okay, then we have Scarlet in Bloom. This is another like mystery thriller, beautiful gripping novel about a mother and a daughter on the run from a dark and dangerous past. A small Michigan town that may hold the key to their survival. Okay, and then we have Dog Park, a novel. I actually found this at Dollar Tree. Ferociously plotted novel of intrigue, betrayal, and murder in a global fertility market. Takes place in Helsinki, 2016. Moves seamlessly between contemporary Finland in the early days of post-Soviet independence Ukraine. Centered on the shocking exploitation of the female body. Pretty powerful stuff. Then we have Cloud Cuckoo Land, and technically this actually should be over there with my science fiction. I fell in love with Anthony Doerr's writing when I read a small collection called The Shell Collector. He just has such a way with words. This is actually science fiction and it has it's such a cool cover. Set in Constantinople in 15th century, in a small town in present-day Idaho, and on an interstellar ship decades from now. A soaring story about children on the cusp of adulthood in worlds in peril who find resilience, hope, and a book. Alright, it's called Weather by Jenny Offill. And this is actually about a girl who works for a podcast and she responds to letters. If you're old enough, if you're my age, then you might know about, I think it was called Dear Abby. There would be like a whole section in the newspaper where people would ask for advice, and that's kind of what this reminded me of. A Study in Charlotte. This is a Sherlock Holmes kind of retelling story, but this actually follows Charlotte Holmes, who is the great-great-great-granddaughter of Sherlock Holmes. So, you know, I thought this was such a good idea when I first got it. I was super into getting all these different retellings, and now I've read so many retellings that some of them are just really, I've kind of just changed my opinion on retellings. But this might be different because it does seem like more of like a continuation and not like a reinvention. So Exit Wounds, this is a short story collection. 19 Tales of Mystery from the Modern Masters of Crime. You know, I'm really not sure that I'm into, this one might be on the unhaul pile. Sora is in the house. He is wanting attention, so he is inventing things to get into. A Slow Fire Burning by Paula Hawkins. She is the author of Girl on a Train, and you know, I didn't actually realize that. I thought this was a different author. Rachel Hawkins. Sora messed up my camera. I was thinking it was Rachel Hawkins. I think that's what I was thinking in my head. But anyways, I guess I'll give this a try, but I don't have a lot of high expectations for it. A gripping story of deceit, murder, and revenge from the blockbuster author of Girl on the Train. Young man found gruesomely murdered in London houseboat. Triggers questions about 3 women who knew him. The Lying Club by Annie Ward. 3 women, 2 bodies, 1 big lie. Tangled web of lies draws 3 women together in the explosive thriller of revenge, murder, and shocking secrets. Elite private school nestled in Colorado mountains, Natalie is an office assistant, dreams of having a life like the moms that she deals with every day. Oh, that's why I ended up picking up that one. Because it takes place in an elite school, so we got the whole dark academia thing. And then Colorado, which I used to live in Colorado. Snow Falling on Cedars by David Gutterson. Then we have the first two books in this series, Girl with the Dragon Tattoo and The Girl Who Played with Fire. Devil in the White City, National Book Award finalist. I think this is like a true crime. And Thunderstruck, also another true crime. And then finally, A Little Life. This book was crazy. It's hard to call this book good, but the writing was absolutely incredible. The story is devastating. All right, now we're going to come over here. I have The Death of Miss Westway by Ruth Ware. I kind of have an interesting relationship with this author. Some of her books are good, some of them not so good. I'm thinking that this book is going to be really good. I think it takes place in like this mansion. What is it? This doesn't really have a summary on this book, which I think is kind of a crime. But anyways, like the back has blurbs. It does not have what this book is about, which is crazy. I guess you're just supposed to know that it's Ruth Ware, and so you don't need to know. It's just going to be good, but that's not how I work. Anyways, some of her books I like, and some of them I haven't been able to finish. This is probably the last Ruth Ware that I will give a try to. And I can't remember what it is, but there was something about it that sounded really good. But I have read In the Dark, Dark Wood, which I was not impressed with. I attempted Lying Game, which I never finished. And Woman in Cabin 10, I really didn't care for. However, Turn of the Key, I absolutely loved. I listened to the audiobook. I loved it so much that when I found this copy, I think at a thrift store, I did go ahead and add it to my collection. And it's not often that I would probably reread a mystery thriller because, you kind of already know what happens. But this might be one of those few occasions. This is a retelling of Turn of the Screw, I guess, but or maybe it's just a play on words. I'm really not sure. Then we have a couple Tana French's. I have attempted one of her books, but I also didn't realize that it's like part of the Dubliner series. And I'm wondering if I don't know, something got messed up with the reading experience of that book. I think that I was being too critical. I think I was being a little too hasty, maybe. Trying to think back to the headspace I was in when I attempted it. I am considering retrying her books. But I have this one, Searcher. This is like the weirdest word. I don't even know. The Searcher. Anyways, there was something about it that sounded really good. Cal thought a fixer-upper in a remote Irish village would be the perfect escape. After 25 years in Chicago police force and a bruising divorce, he just wants to build a new life in a pretty spot with a good pub where nothing much happens. When a local kid whose brother has gone missing arm twists him into investigating, Cal discovers that even in the most idyllic small town, dangerous secrets lie hidden and trouble can come calling at his door. So this is a small Irish town and small town secrets, so that did sound really good. And then we have The Likeness, and this one has been one of those ones I just can't stop thinking about wanting to read it because it comes up in all kinds of dark academic book lists. This is a sequel to In the Woods. In the Woods is the one that I attempted to read, and I had a lot of criticisms. More or less the way that the police handled, or the investigators handled the situation, because I felt that it was so, like, some of the things were really on the verge of being illegal, the way they handled some of these situations. I guess that makes me wonder why this book keeps popping up when the first in the series doesn't pop up. Anyways, that's my ton of French books. The Lightness by Emily Temple. This was a book that I got an advanced reader copy for. This was such a weird reading experience. Like, at first, I liked it, and then I didn't like it, and then I couldn't stop thinking about it, so I went back and read a bit more of it, and I kind of bounced. It's really weird. I kept bouncing around in the story. At the end of the day, there was a lot of things in this book that I couldn't stop thinking about, so I decided to keep this one, and I think I'm going to give it another chance. The Book of Speculation by Eric Swyler. The Archivist by Martha Cooley. Matthias is a librarian, a man of orderly ways, responsible for safeguarding sealed cachet of T.S. Eliot's letters. What begins as a battle of wills soon evolves into an unlikely friendship, a friendship that not only unsaddles his solitary life but forces him to confront long-buried memories of his wife, her mental breakdown, and the disillusion of their marriage. Now we have this little stack of mass-market paperbacks. I think they're all mysteries. This is a mystery thriller, The Ice Princess by Camilla Lackberg, and she is, I want to say, Scandinavia. Fans of Scandinavian greats like Stieg Larsson will devour Camilla Lackberg's penetrating portrayal of human nature at its darkest. The Unconsoled by Kazuo Ishiguro. The Unconsoled is a masterpiece. It is above all a book devoted to the human heart, and as such is Ishiguro's greatest gift to us yet. It's pretty high stakes. Alright, Death by Dumpling. This is like one of those cozy mysteries, but like the entire series has this theme around like Asian food. The Sign of Four by Arthur Conan Doyle. Harlequin Tea Set and Other Stories by Agatha Christie. Sleeping Murder by Agatha Christie. This is part of the Miss Marple mysteries. And then There Were None by Agatha Christie. Murder on the Orient Express by Agatha Christie. And then these last two books over here, we have The Murder of The Murder of Roger Ackroyd by Agatha Christie, and then A Study in Scarlet by Arthur Conan Doyle. And this is the one and only Sherlock Holmes book that I have read so far. Okay guys, that wraps up this episode of the mini bookshelf tours. I hope that you like this, and we still have a few more to go. We have this bookshelf, which is all my poetry collection, And then this tall bookshelf, which has all of my classics and historical fiction and that sort of thing. And then, of course, we have the cabinet over there as well that has all the mass market paperbacks and some other stuff. I don't even know. So if you like these videos, you can subscribe and hit the bell to be notified when I post new videos. Hey, baby boy. Alright, guys, so I better do something with this cat. He obviously needs some attention. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you soon. Bye.